What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch chat? First league of the day, playing through some Dimir Oculus with Matoya, this new Final Fantasy card over here. Looks pretty underwhelming at first glance. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 whenever you scry or surveil, draw a card. The idea here is just try a different flex spot option, whereas something like Harbinger of the Seas offers a little more lockout potential. Graveyard Trespasser offers a little more of a clock. Matoya's hopefully a little more of a card advantage engine than the other two. So the idea here is Matoya triggers not ultimately off like Consider, but your surveil lands. So being able to surveil off of fetch and draw a card. It triggers off Otherworldly Gaze, which in 2022 was edited to say surveil instead of just put the cards in the graveyard. So being able to pay 1, surveil 3, plus draw a card, or 2 mana to flashback, surveil 3, plus draw a card with Matoya. The trade-off here is we are a lot more of like an all-in kind of combo build of Oculus, running Otherworldly Gaze instead of Thought Scour. So we don't really have like the early refill the hand potential. We're just all in on trying to get an Oculus down, or Frog plus counter, Oculus plus counter, and hoping that if Matoya is our option to get back instead of an Oculus or a Frog early, that we can use some of these card spells or these surveil spells, like Consider, Gaze, fetch lands, to kind of even out the playing field that way. Sideboard, well, I guess rest of the main deck you kind of already know. We're literally just replacing like the 2 Graveyard Trespassers with the 2 Matoya. Plus it being a 1/4 body kind of stands in the way of a lot of stuff. Sideboard, Jason Mind Sculptor. I cut the Kaito, just not ninjutsuing it often enough. 2 Harbinger of the Seas, 2 Dress Down for a lot of the Saga stuff going around right now. Stern Scolding to go along with the 1 in the main. 4 copies of Consign to Memory. The 3 Thoughtseize, moved all them from the main to the side to make room for the Stern Scolding, the extra Surveil spell. And then an Engineered Explosives and a Nihil Spellbomb. Help out with the Grave Hate and help out with more of the Saga stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into it. See if anything has any functionality with this Matoya card. I haven't tried. I think I tried 1 Gold League. Let's try that out. Not like big on the Gold Leagues, especially with 83 players. We're just gonna go to a regular league. I think with 83 players, I don't want to deal with the time delay between pairings. Matt, what's up? Get a Dimir dumpster diver list. Harvester of Miseries is out there. Exile target permanent you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If it enters the battlefield as a creature, it enters with an additional 1/1 counter. Like Harvester, Archon, Word. Some stuff. Weird opener. Triple basic land. Not a fast Oculus. Back. little bit better. It's a little too reactive for my taste, but I don't think I want to throw back 7. Best frog list in modern right now. That's a bold assertion. Force. Got counter spell, so don't really need it. Bunny coming in with a 2-month resub. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the subscribers. Really know what they are. If this is Orzhov and they're gonna untap and have an Overlord, this really sucks. But All of Death. Ask my frog. No. No. Mirror match and they got the spell snare. Alright. There. Does look like a Dimir match. Goryo coming in with a 4-month resub. Thank you so much as well. Well, you have a bunch of answers to Murktide, so that's a plus. Land would be nice. Oculus in the yard. This would be cool. Looks like neither of us are doing a really good job of hitting lands, so. I don't really want to just unearth this frog and tap myself off of counterspell. Cycle it into turn. Good. Yeah, because all the best arts ours is lacking. Considering this the best art. Question that one. I do love that. I'm pretty sure Oculus or Dimir in general is supposed to be terrible according to everybody on the internet. So it is kind of fun to see an Oculus mirror like round 1. Full push. Like double hard cast Oculus here. Could be worse. Seven, go down to 6. Never mind. Did in fact miss a few too many land drops. Argument there. Argument there. Would have looked pretty good into like Boros or Prowess, but not such a great start into the Drago deck. And Thoughtseize. I don't really want this much in terms of Unearth Oculus stuff, but mid. In the list, just trying out Matoya. Not much past that. Feel like I've seen several questions kind of revolving around like, what are you changing since Final Fantasy dropped? And like the cards just came out yesterday. So no idea yet. Drops. Gaze is just trying to improve the number of like surveil spells for Toya. Bomb in response to good, because we do have a third surveil. Changing with Final Fantasy, what's the finalized list look like? Like, I literally just said the set came out yesterday. There is no finalized list yet. There are no updates yet. Like, I can't really update if I don't know what I'm trying to update for, right? I have no idea what the format's going to look like 2 days from now. Frogtide is pretty much always going to be the reactive deck. So, like, what are we reacting to? What are we changing to be reactive to the current meta if we don't know what the current meta looks like? Have a perfectly optimized 75 already. My bad. On me. Go. Grave, pop, flashback, grave, pop. Hope you don't have a copy of Counterspell. Actually, I do hope you have a Counterspell. I hope you don't have a Subtlety. Damn it. On to game 2. This list is not optimized for the mirror at all. This is straight all in Oculus. Hope you're not interacting. Garbage aggro. Garbage aggro. Got like Grixis. Grixis vibe so far. Frog. Jeskai prowess. I'm just going to shock in the Watery Grave. I kind of want to save this Surveil or save this Polluted Delta for a Surveil land. There's like reasonable chance I'll have to counter spell if they go for another Quarry Steel. Well, say opponent has managed to throw me a curveball every step so far. How is the new "My name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die" card been? Well, we have not seen it at all yet. Perhaps we can change that. All right. Well, we kind of need to find an Oculus or a Murktide, like, oh. Leave one Oculus one time. Find a counter spell. Spell one time. I mean, yes. Bunch of Oculus in play and hope that's good enough. Carry on. Matoya. Okay. Be good, Matoya. I need you. I need you to prove to the masses that you're functional. Okay. I'll land back. That. All right. Toya is going to flip up. Play a Surveil land. We're going to put that on top and immediately draw it with Matoya. In with our Oculus buddies. Flip over 2 more cards to Oculus. Go. Now we can instant speed, Surveil 3, draw a card. Or we can just hold this for force. Think I'm going to counter that. Now, I should probably just counter it. Realistically, if I otherworldly gaze and see like 4 cards, chances are I'll find another blue card and I would get to put otherworldly gaze into my graveyard to be able to flash it back and surveil again. Fine, because only one of them has trample. Nice. So Matoya drew us into that force negation. Just saying. So dress downs, harbingers, stern scolding, engineered explosives. On the draw, so I don't think I want any consign. Hate playing against like the Corey Steele Jeskai versions because I want to cut spell snare so bad. I just don't think I can against Corey Steele. Porting out a second counter spell. They're just really slow and clunky on the draw. Emery. This is always the absolute struggle to deal with starts on the frog side is just turn 1 Emery, especially on the draw, because you have to have exactly fatal push dismember. Even a Cecil later. Possibly. I've got a couple Cecil lists kind of thrown together. A Dimir list with Tamio, Nethergoyf, Bobble, Wraith, yeah. And the Rakdos legendary list. Try some number of Cecil in some capacity. Corey Steele right away is rough too. Usually my rule of thumb to not keep a hand against these decks that doesn't have an answer to a turn 1 Emery. And it always ends up biting me because like I'll keep a 7 that's kind of okay if they're not explosive right out of the gates. I've got a game plan. I've got like an answer into Saga. I've got counterspell if things like don't get too out of hand turn 1, make it to turn 2. Then every time I do that, I just get bit in the ass by Emery on turn 1. Clockwork. fight over, like, let's say an Ascendancy. Try to make them a little more one-dimensional. If I can unearth a Harbinger, hold up Counterspell, and at least shut them off of all non-blue mana to start. Looking like I'm going to live long enough to do that. If I block the 2/3 or block the 3/3, discard Harbinger Swamp. I think that's the best chance. Might not let me hold up Unearth and Counterspell next turn, but I'm already planning on discarding the Harbinger. If they have like a repeal or something. Frog. Find. Perhaps I should have. I probably should have just otherworldly gazed before I dealt damage with the frog to try to hit. All right. Just to try to hit a fetch land to be able to kill the Imri. If I wasn't going to hold up Counterspell. Soul Guide Lantern. Spells better on the play. Earths. Kills a turn 1 Imri pretty well. 2 Imri and maybe a turn 3 Imri. Worldly Gaze is pretty neat. Well, it's pretty much just in there to try to be all in if I get a Matoya into play. Not really much else to it. All right, we ready for turn 1 Imri plus Metallic Rebuke? Plus Metallic Rebuke. Right. I'm just gonna get a spell here. About a force. The metallic rebuke. Oh, like a portable hole. Air. Air could be better. I guess it gives me an answer to Corey Steele, and that's kind of a plus. I was kind of hoping for fetch tap out for Kappa. Fetch tap out for Kappa. We draw an Oculus. Air. Got any threats in it? I wish. Wish. Gotta be. That is brutal. All right. Unfortunate. Oculus problems. Not really Matoya problems. We saw Matoya once, drew us into the force, and we won that game. Your typical Dimir not seeing a threat problem. At least if the pattern continues this league, I can't really say it's Matoya's fault. Yeah, that hand looks so much different if they don't have the second opal, or if the last card isn't Narset. We counter that first opal and they don't have white mana anymore. Can't cast the Narset. Yeah. So we otherworldly gaze here. If they put like a bombardment on the stack, then we stub that. But otherwise, Otherworldly Gaze, try to flip over like another Oculus so we can unearth hold up stub. Wide Oculus or Ocelot Pride stuff. Oculus. Could unearth a Matoya. I don't really feel like that's where I want to be. I think if hard sooner. I think I'd rather just play out the frog. Could unearth the frog in the yard and have stub up. Have hard cast Oculus next turn. How important is stub on 3 gonna be? Able. It's like a static prison, but if they just go land flage, not doing a whole lot. Frog. Galvanic Discharge. I can discard Oculus. Fetch. Kind of think I want to have the ability to get both of these Oculus into play. And I think if I go for an unearth on something right now, then I'm giving up my ability to second Oculus into play. Like I'll be having to hard cast one of them, nuke my yard. This. That's it, my frog. As soon as you start like committing to this line, this favors me kind of heavily. You're gonna lose a cat plus whatever you sack. Ocelot plus whatever you sack. Other cat at the frog. Not gonna throw another cat at the frog. That's pretty good. So if I go attack with the frog, they block with the cat, shoot me. Fine. I think I'm going to be putting both the Oculus and the Murktide into play this turn. So I'm not going to fly this frog anyway. Oculus. Island. Play out this Murktide for guard. All right. I don't want to auto yield just in case they go after the frog. Well, if you didn't do anything that turn, solid here. So I'm not holding up counter spell. Kind of just want to main phase this otherworldly gaze. If I flip a bunch of stuff into the yard, I can just like grow the Murktide. Grave. That on top. Frog. Murktide. $14, $15, $16, $17, $19, $20 if they just say no blocks. $15, $16, $17. This is just lethal anyway, isn't it? Because I can just go, unless they have like a galvanic discharge, but I could go discard to the frog. This is 4, 9, 18. Exile stub, exile otherworldly gaze is 20 exactly. About this. This is just block, sack. Still dealing 11, 13. Block. Block with the cat token, sack on the Oculus. Still drawing into the fatal push. Thing. Fair enough. Spellbomb, EE, Stern Scolding. Those are okay-ish. out. Couple unearthed out. Out. Gaze. See what kind of grave hate they got coming in. Usually shave unearth pretty aggressively against Boros just because of Thraben Charm. Matoya only draw off Survey lands. Does it work off Gaze too? It does work off Gaze. It works off Consider. Works off Kaito 0. Surveil lands, like you mentioned, Preordain. Kidding. Yeah, Gaze was errated in like 2022. So it no longer says look at the top 3, put any number into your graveyard, one or in some number back on top. It's errated to say Surveil 3. Cool. So like here we can just go fetch up an island, otherworldly gaze for 3. Turn 2, just play like a 6/6 Murktide or something if we want. See what opponent does. Now I'm a little more questioning that it might be a Thraben Charm. Fire it off regardless. Save. Top. Back to Thraben Charm. So, Murktide. Get to like do that test fetch, see if they respond to the fetch, and if they don't, just cast the Murktide. If they do, maybe I get like a Watery Grave, play out Spell Bomb with Watery Grave up, or get a Surveil land or something. See if they've got a Attic Prison. Moon. Lightning. What do you do? Whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or a permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. So I feel like I should be somewhat concerned with that. But it only does this if lightning deals damage, right? It has to deal damage to me, not deal damage to Murktide. So let's play EE out on 1. Pass the turn back. Like I can block lightning. If they don't do anything, I can get a Surveil land and consider. Or I could EE blow up the Guide of Souls. same combat, anything without first strike does the thing as long as they do damage to you. Yeah, as long as they deal damage to me. But if I just block the lightning, then everything else is just a normal attacker and doesn't really matter. You have the Flage. Till next turn. So I'm going to need to force this, right? Surveil first. Like, they're going to get to attack in with the lightning regardless. I'll go for a considered too before I... It's lightning off the board. I don't know if I really care about getting the lightning off the board. So it gets lightning off the board. Force off Matoya. Get to attack in with lightning. Don't attack in with lightning. Get to Flage next turn. Do they get to Flage next turn? Is that something they're going to be able to do? All right, so Spell Bomb, Crack, target you, Fatal Push, Lightning. Hard. A, but A, because we're just going to deal with everything. And then we'll attack him with a Murktide because we've got Unearth Oculus next turn, or Pop EE, or some combination of the two. Voice of Victory. So I need your last card to not be... Not Thraben Charm. Still pretty good, but not Thraben Charm. I'm gonna attack in with the Murktide. Earth the Oculus and try to get the game over with. Cntrlfreak trying to convince me that Matoya is good. See, I have never, in this entire build up of the testing process, said I thought Matoya was good. I've just given scenarios where she does something unique. gone from there. It's always basic swamp bad, never basic island bad. Basic island is never bad. Big Pharma might tell you that basic island is bad, but true. Don't let them get to you. Got Galvanic discharge my Oculus. So you go down to no energy, kill the Oculus. That is acceptable. You blow up the guide. Pretty sure they should attack with this voice too, yeah. Not doing anything, just sitting back. I block as long as it's not the cat. That kills. Here's a frog. Frog's gonna get flying and exile some stuff. Yay, we can beat Lightning Boros. Gotta work on the other ones, but picked out one. So some of the other stuff I kind of want to try out today. I've got the Rakdos artifact deck in the queue. I've got an Esper list. This doesn't have anything from Final Fantasy, but it's just like blue-white kind of control. Obviously it has like a bunch of the normal control stuff, but Murktides and frogs and stuff, and then Teferi, Solitude, Wrath of Skies, Pending. Then I've got Dimir with Cecil and Tamio and Nethergoyf, and just trying to flip either Tamio or Cecil on turn 2 as often as humanly possible. An incredible card. Is Cecil an incredible card? It's like cool. I don't know. I don't know if incredible is quite the word I would use for it. Like I think we as Magic players have a really bad habit of saying like cards are really good, but in the context of the history of Magic the Gathering, and not so much in the context of like right now, current modern meta. Like, what is it good relative to? Unearth and I just have to play out this Murktide here. when I was reading people's evaluations of Cecil on Discord and stuff, I kept saying things like Cecil's such a good blocker. Like you're going to trade up on mana on all your blocks. And all I could think was like, how relevant is blocking in current modern? Like, I feel like I never block anything. So it just seems like a very, very awkward statement to say, oh, this card is good because it blocks well. Boya calls me another Murktide. I think we're going to attack in and just pass holding up Sink into Stupor. I think any Final Fantasy cards could maybe help Shadow to come back. I missed the deck. Did any of the Final Fantasy cards affect Boros still being tier 1? Because if no, then that's probably your answer, unfortunately. So it's never the answer anybody wants to hear, but as long as that deck is tier 1, Death Shadow is going to have a very, very, very difficult time existing. All right, I'm going to see if they're going to be willing to throw a bunch of spawn tokens, deal some damage, but it doesn't look like they are. All right, let's see if we can find a kill. Yard, yard, yard. We had draw. Does that do anything for me? Doesn't do anything more than just casting the other ox. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be 5 in the yard. Need 6. So no, this doesn't do anything. No, it does do something. I need this. Yeah. I need this because if I draw another card, I can only get 5 counters on the first Murktide with the second Murktide, so that's not lethal. Oculus could get 6 cards, but I need the third untapped mana, which I have, but it doesn't matter if I can't get another card in the yard. So I need the frog here so I can surveil off of this other flooded strand and try to find one more card, one more instant or sorcery to grow the Murktide. Now we can go cast frog, exile 1, 2, 3, Murktide. Card the fatal push. Exile 3 to the frog. 13-13 Murktide. Because of Matoya. Lex command. See. Didn't know that matchup was that bad. Long time. Don't show Shadow has a game plan. Well, I mean, think about like what Boros is doing. Like you're an aggressive deck that's going wide with chump blockers. That's like the thing Shadow struggles with the most. The fact that it's just like the tier 1 deck in the format that does that. Very, very rough. Want to play Shadow? Step 1, make an Esper Shadow list. Step 2, replace Shadow and other threats with Cecil and Ketchermos, and boom, 2025 Shadow. We played an Esper Shadow list that sideboarded Ketchermos in and just kind of said like, okay, if my opponent's playing something that's heavy on spot removal or like Solitudes or something, I'm just going to bring in the Ketchermoses and go from there. Kind of cool. Yes. A little bit awkward. Usually I don't have the Thought Seizes in the main deck or in the sideboard, so that's kind of throwing off my sideboarding numbers. Back in my day, we have answers to those go wide decks. Well, the go wide deck threats are just a little bit better than the go wide deck answers. But as far as the 1-mana card from Final Fantasy, I'm assuming you mean Cecil. And Cecil just like doesn't do anything to help the Shadow game plan while actively hurting Shadow itself. Isn't Kaito better than Jace? Kaito's only better when you're on like Tamio and Bowmaster. When you're not on those, you're just not reliably ninjutsuing it. And if you're having to always pay 4 mana for your Planeswalker, then Jace is pretty solid, pretty reasonable. Talking to a guy at locals trying to tell me Harbinger isn't good into Broodscale. It's like, nah, card's great. I mean, that's pretty excellent into Broodscale, if I do say so myself. Breaker. Even if somebody just put a fetch land on top of their library for just such an occasion. Part about Eldrazi. Cavern. All right. We need to find something pretty good. Want to be. A little bit of extra mana. Murktide down. Say go. The World of Gaze, this is a staple now for Dimir. Absolutely not. I'm literally just playing it because I'm testing out Matoya, and Matoya cares about surveilling. This thing right here. Cares about surveil lands, cares about consider and otherworldly gaze, doesn't like thought scour. That is the only reason that I'm running gaze. Quick Merc and play Scour or Consider. I mean, if that is your goal, is to play Quick Murktide, then sure, those cards do the job. Matoya specifically, the card we are explicitly trying out right now, does not care about those cards very well. We're not dead on the crackback. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with a fetch, and then look yard 9 of Emrakul. Kozilek's command. Scried 1 to the top, so I'm assuming they do. I'm just going to get Kozilek's command burned out. Yep. What a not very fun and appealing Magic card. If you had the second land, I'd be all over that hand. Keeping. Not loving it, but we're keeping it. And I think I'm just throwing back the consider to make sure I have my third land drop. Blood Chief. What you got? Cavern of Souls. Glaring Flesh Raker. All right. Big bucks, no dismember. Big bucks, no dismember. Big bucks, no dismember. A little bit like no dismember. And the race she is on. Gonna say I don't think I'm tapping off of counterspell there just because dismember is like the only thing I care about at the moment. Now, whose local person was it that said Harbinger wasn't good against Broodscale? Whose LGS regular needs to eat their words right now? Get address and postal code. Grave, top, sure. Yeah. Harbinger's bad. I mean, it looks so awful right here. My opponent being unable to play the game entirely. Why would I ever want that out of a Magic card? Like, Harbinger is this weird card where I think people have a low opinion on it when they play Harbinger poorly. Like, try to just jam it into a bunch of open mana and their opponent interacts and they're like, oh, this card's terrible. And then they learn to not do that and the ceiling on Harbinger gets raised, or both the ceiling and the floor, I guess. Better. I'm just going for a quick Murktide. Then I'm going to throw back Fatal Push, and I can just go for like turn 1 Otherworldly Gaze, turn 2 Murktide with Force backup. Could be very, very good here. Matoya would be playable as a 2-drop, but good enough as a 3-drop. Well, I assume if you're saying isn't good enough, like definitive statements, that means that you've tried it, right? You have supporting evidence for this this statement, correct? Subtlety. I mean, like, vibes-based discussions are fine. I'm not anti-vibes, but just like saying it isn't good enough without anything to back that up is just, how do we know? Like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna give it a shot. Do I think it's good enough? No idea yet. But I don't think we can say that without actually, you know, giving the card an opportunity to show whether it is or not. That's like that's all I ever want out of Magic is just to hold off on the say it's bad arguments until until after we have tried it and confirmed that it is bad. After that, do what you want. Okay, this Matoya just turned my Surveil land into a counter spell. That's kind of cool. That's something we haven't been able to do before. Very well possible we could still die, but not if opponent keeps drawing not Gristlebrands and Atraxas, I guess. Hey, look, that's 1 mana Surveil 1 draw 2. There's finally a Gristlebrand. It'll push. Rios. They're just like all in counterspell heavy Goryos. Air. Um, that in the graveyard. Counterspell, draw that. So I want to set a stop on my upkeep. Flashback, Otherworldly Gaze. We'll go graveyard, graveyard, top. Draw into the snare, draw for turn. Like, that's got to count for something, right? That was cool. Again, I'm not going crazy and being like, oh my god, greatest thing ever. This card's cracked. But, like, we did something. In the turn, we get to Surveil and draw another card. Hey, look, that's another card draw. I'll admit it's not the world's fastest clock, but step at a time. Are we fighting over this? Video title, Matoya goated confirmed. Goated might be a little bit of a stretch, but looked kind of fun and interesting. Matoya! Matoya! Haters in shambles. Haters in absolute shambles. Had 12 more turns. You can't overcome the Matoya value. Like, they had 12 more turns, maybe, but realistically, did they have 12 more shots to get their one last Goryo's Vengeance and the counter spells to back it up when I'm still drawing extra cards with this Matoya? So I'm going to get to flashback the Otherworldly Gaze and just dig for like more gazes or Oculus, Unearth, whatever the case may be. Yeah, Kaito's 0 is Surveil 2, and then if you dealt damage to an opponent, draw a card. Does in fact Surveil. Enough Matoyas in this hand. Who do we think is going to enact their Unearth game plan? Stuff. Because I don't really have an answer to that. They surveilled to the top. Second land, sure. Pass with her spell up. Other hand, outside of this one blind draw. Know that. Good. So if I take Tainted Indulgence, Cast a frog. They spell snare. I think we do this anyway because maybe there's a chance that instead of going for the spell snare, they go for the fatal push. I get to discard the Oculus for free and have Unearth to get around spell snare. Not, then I have the chance to like hard cast Oculus in a turn or two. They've got Frog, Fatal Push, Force. If I get Fatal Push plus Force out of hand here, then I have hard cast Oculus next turn. Subtlety. I forgot they had Subtlety in their deck. Need to find a fetch land. Shocking water 4. Their hand is just like other counterspell force. I like the odds of this Murktide resolving. How's Matoya been? Saw Spike's Blue Red stream and looked insane there. We've only seen it like 3 times, but it was pretty good all 3 of those times, I think. It did win us the game 1 of this match. So honestly, that's probably all you need to go off of. Wonder if it's a 3-4 slot. I don't think it's a 3-4 slot because I still think it's like the 3rd or 4th thing you want to be unearthing if you have the choice. Definitely not bad though. Hasn't been bad so far. A subtlety. Um, jamming Matoya or am I jamming Murktide? No, their hand is Indulgence, Indulgence, Force, Force, Bloodstain, Mire. I kind of want to just get this Murktide down while I know they don't have a subtlety. What did I come into? They're like blue-black Goryos, but instead of having all of like the solitudes and whatnot, they're just all in on like Goryos, Frog Emperor, and counters. So force negations, counter spells, subtleties, spell snare we saw in the main. Just all in on that plan. Having to decide. Oh yeah, and counter spell. Justice. Hashtag justice for Matoya. How dare they disrespect my girl? It struck fear in their heart. Can you blame them? Honestly, I thought Gaze Upkeep would have been hot to find on Earth. Well, I didn't want them having Force Negation on my upkeep. So I didn't really want to fire anything off if it wasn't going to, like, guarantee get some result. So, flashback, otherworldly gaze, counter on the Murktide. They want to like force pitch force on this. I can still cast my other Murktide. Force off a counter spell. So their last two cards are Force Unknown. Casting a second Murktide. No cards. No cards. You're dead in 2 turns to a Murktide. I think it has to be exactly sink into stupor off the top, so I'm going to regret saying that. And Matoya goes positive. Oh, man. Matoya. All right, what do we think of Matoya there? So, what were the first 2 matches? I remember the second match was just like Dimir doing Dimir things and not seeing a threat. But I don't remember what it was up against. But all these like mid-rangey, control-y matchups, Matoya looked decent. It was definitely... There were no situations where I had Matoya plus something else in the yard and wanted to unearth Matoya over the something else. So I definitely don't think she's ever going to replace like a Psychic Frog or an Oculus. But like that game 1 against the Goryo's Vengeance deck, I think she ended up drawing an extra like 4, maybe 5 cards on flashback gazes, surveil lands, consider that drew 2. That's like not nothing at helping to close out a game. Obviously, you need something in addition to Matoya, kind of like with Harbinger. You get Harbinger down, that's great, but you need something else to close out the game, and I think Matoya is the same way. If I continue to try her out with Otherworldly Gaze, I would like to see something else that I could do from the graveyard. Just another like escape threat or something cool to go to the graveyard. I don't think she's ever better than Tamiyo or Kaito. Debatable. Like, she's a better blocker than Tamiyo, especially into like Ocelots and Ragavans and that kind of stuff. The card advantage about the same, except Tamiyo has to attack. Matoya doesn't have to attack. Like the 1 versus 3 mana, obviously relevant, but when you're an unearthed deck and 1 mana to get back your threats is fairly common. Not a huge difference. Like, I could see metas where Matoya could make some sense. I don't think the current modern meta is quite where I want to go all in on her, but cool. I think anytime there's something that does something different, it's worth at least looking into.